Leona. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, so today I am here to do a book review, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing is Tower Lord by Anthony Ryan, which I have been reading for a fair while. I've been reading for most of the month. It's taken me quite a time, even though it's only around just under 600 pages. This is the sequel to Blood Song, which I reviewed very recently on my channel as well. I absolutely adored Blood Song. I gave it a 5 out of 5 star rating. This one was a lot harder for me to rate because although it is a follow-on from Blood Song, it's very different in the way that it's organised. It's definitely a change in pace. The first one is basically 2 parallel storylines which are going on, whereas this one is told from various different points of view and includes 3 of the main characters from the first one as main point of view characters. I was a little bit disheartened when I first picked this up because although I knew that it was going to be different, I knew that it was going to be quite strange going from 2 different storylines to about 5 different storylines going on at once. I wasn't really ready for it, and I definitely feel like I preferred the first layout to the second one. I do really like different points of view. I find like George R.R. Martin, that sort of style I absolutely love. I really enjoy his books. However, I don't tend to enjoy it when I get used to one style and then it switches halfway through. That's not really what I like to see, so I was a little bit disappointed that that switch had happened. However, on the plus side, seeing the other 3 main characters get point of view was really, really interesting because I did like all of the main characters who were given a point of view in this. The main problem that I had with it was that the characters who I absolutely loved in book number 1 didn't really meet up that much in book number 2, and the camaraderie that the brothers had in book number 1 I absolutely loved. That really wasn't a big focus in book number 2. It was very much more about the world, it was about the politics, it was about a war that was happening. Although you do see a lot about the characters, the main 4, it just wasn't as interesting to me as book number 1, where they have their banter and they have their little group and they have stuff that they like doing together and just enjoy each other's company. So for me it was slightly let down by that. However, I would still say that it's an absolutely wonderful story. There is nothing that I found massive fault with. I really enjoyed the direction that it took, and I felt like I really liked the first half of the book. It's very much everyone going their own way. We get introduced to a new character called Reva, who isn't really in book 1 at all, and she is basically one of my favourite characters. She starts off being a very sneaky character. She follows Valen around and she is trying to get something from him. But we actually see her grow from this little kind of thief or assassin that she was into a young lady who knows how to rule, who knows how to have dignity, who knows how to command people. And I loved seeing the transition of her character from a young, scared, frightened girl who had a mission to a young woman who really knew what she was doing and was in control and was in command. Really loved her character progression. I felt like that was one of the best things in the story. And then another character who is a main point of view character is Frentis. Frentis, who I absolutely loved in book number 1. He was really charming and funny, and he was the best thief in book number 1. And I was really happy when we saw his point of view, and I initially really liked his story. I thought it was really interesting when he was captured and when things went really wrong for him and he was just the other side of the world stuck with this other person. It was absolutely crazy what was going on with him, and I really liked that. I really liked seeing what was happening there. However, as his story progressed, I felt like he got a little bit lost and his character kind of didn't have a major part after that. What he was doing didn't seem that necessary to me and didn't seem as interesting as the other characters. And I was really upset by that. I felt like he was a really good character and he should have been a much more central focus, and he should have met up with the other characters and he should have brought something more to the story than he did. So that was a bit of a shame for me. Moving on, we have Princess Leona, and we also see from her point of view, and I absolutely loved her. I thought she was really interesting in book number 1, but I didn't really know too much about her, and I guessed in book number 1 that she would be a bigger role in book 2, and she certainly was. She goes to treat with the Lonak and she sees their villages and she sees the way that they live and she sees their leader, and that was really, really cool. I loved seeing their culture. I thought it was really, really interesting. Certainly I found her parts to be really, really lovely because of the witticisms that she has and the intelligence that she has. She was a really strong lead, and she certainly commanded herself very well and got her point across to whoever she was with really easily. And I really liked seeing how intelligent she was and the way that a lot of people sort of underestimated her. I thought that she was a really, really wonderful story, and her storyline was actually one of the ones that I liked the most because she moved around a lot in her storyline. She went from place to place, and she went from culture to different culture to see new people, and she was the one whose storyline I probably enjoyed most overall because of the way that she just experienced so many different things compared to a lot of the other characters who stayed fairly stationary or who didn't really move around too much compared to her. She was all over the place, but in a good way, and I really enjoyed that. I loved seeing more of the culture and more of the world from her eyes and seeing what she thought of everything, so I definitely liked her character. My biggest problem with Valen's story was that I really liked him in book number 1, and that I felt like in book number 2 he just wasn't given the time that I would have liked, and he wasn't given as much centre stage as I would have liked. I really enjoyed him and the way that we saw his thoughts and things in book number 1, and I felt like in book number 2 we just saw him growing from a strong lord into a leader, and although that is a good change, I just felt like his storyline wasn't anywhere near as interesting as I had hoped, and it just didn't happen for me, and it just wasn't as exciting as I would have liked. On the whole, I really enjoyed the story. I don't want to give across that I didn't enjoy the story, because I did. I loved the story, I loved the characters, all of them. There were just a few problems that I had with adjusting to this new format and not having it continue in the way that I had fallen in love with in book number 1. So that was a really sad thing, but when I did get to the end, I was happy with the ending. I really want to see what happens in book number 3. I'm completely obsessed with finding out, because the ending is crazy. Like, some stuff that gets revealed at the end of this book was insane, so I really want to know what happens. I'm definitely intrigued by this, and I'm definitely going to be picking up book number 3 whenever it comes out, because I am really mystified as to what is going to happen next. However, I would love to know what all of you think about this. If you have read this book, please let me know. Do you agree with what I said, or did you really like the new format? I know a lot of my friends really did enjoy the new format more, so I'm really interested to see what you guys think. I personally really enjoyed this story, but felt it was not up to the standard that I had hoped for and that I knew that Anthony Ryan could bring across. And so I ended up giving this a 3.5 star rating, which is certainly not a bad rating. I did really love it, but it just wasn't as good for me as the first one, Blood Song, was. So please let me know your thoughts. I would love to chat to you guys. I cannot wait to see what all of you think about this, and I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat about the